doing some of the bottom planking for the skiff that we're going to build. The first thing I'd like to do is explain to you some things about this workbench that I'm using here. Now, there was been a workbench in this shop for years and years, but all the supports were different, and I knocked them all out and put these little lean horses underneath here so they'd be incredibly solid, and I can't have the bench moving in any direction, so I've arranged that. And then we have here on the bench some slots actually right through the bench that you can put clamps down through and clamp things down to. And there's actually another slot behind the bench over here, because we're going to do a lot of ripping on this bench with a skill saw, and the skill saw blows all the dust to the right hand side, and rather than having it accumulate on the bench and having all kinds of problems with sawdust, because we're going to make a lot of sawdust, it's arranged so that the sawdust just kind of hits the wall and falls on the floor, and you'll see that happen, and it'll be accumulating in the back under the bench where we can just take a broom and sweep it out. So that's one of the nice features about the bench, but there's many features about this bench and many uses for this bench. The first use that we're going to show is just the straightening of edges of planks very quickly without having to draw a line on them or follow a line with a skill saw or anything like that. We're going to actually use this piece of wood right here as a guide to slide our skill saw along, and that's what's going to produce a straight edge on the next plank. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to produce planks that look similar to this. These are the planks that are going to make the sole of the boat that we're working on, and that's what you're going to be walking around on. But what they are is like 1.25" white cedar, and they're quarter sawn, so the annual rings are going through the board in this direction rather than slab sawn with the annual rings this way. So what we've done is we've purchased a bunch of lumber that we can get quarter sawn pieces out of, and we're going to put them on the bench and get one side nice and straight. Now, let me pull down the first plank here and just put it in position on the bench up against a little bench stop here, and I'm going to get my gauge down here. Now this little gauge is the distance from this that the saw is going to be cutting. So what I'm going to do is just apply it on the bench like this, if that's the position like it to be in. I can tell you I'm going to cut this much material off, and there's some kind of soft wood right here that needs to be removed. This is the waned edge, or the wood that's right behind the bark, and it would be also called sapwood. So I'm going to gauge it down here. I'm going to cut about that much off there, and like this up here. So I'm going to put my gauges down, and now pick up my saw and put it up in position. I'm going to pick the guard up before I start, and now I'm going to do cut. Just put this around my neck. And there is the first straight edge right there, produced without drawing a line or doing anything to it. Now, I could flip that board over or turn it around and cut the other side, but what I'm going to do with this board, I'm going to get one piece out of it, approximately 6 inches wide, and in order to do that, I'm just going to run that through a table saw using this edge as a guide. So that's the finished process for that one piece. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to go from there to the next piece. This is what this bench is about. Right here. It's about not wasting time. Drag this plank into position up against the bench stop. We've already made one little cut on that plank just to get rid of some of the waning, and that's going to just about take care of that area. This needs to be over about here, and that is going to pretty much do the trick right there. We're going to put the and pick up the skill saw. Back. Rid of the scrap. And there's our nice straight edge right there. So what we've got here now is another piece of cedar, and it's got quite a sweep in it like this. So I'm not going to straighten it from one end to the other because I'd cut so much material off of it to get that straight from one end to the other. So this is just kind of an odd piece, and what I'm going to do is shorten it up in sections so that I can use it for the actual bottom planking of the boat, which is pretty short, and that way I don't cut so much off of it when I go to straighten the edges. So I'm just going to cross cut this right here. There's one piece. We'll bring it down here. Cross cut it again. You can see that you don't notice the sweep in the short sections anywhere near as much. So what's going to happen, we don't have to waste off so much material. But there's some very nice quarter sawn stock in here. And like I say, this is going to be bottom planking for this skiff that we're building. So now let's bring a piece down into position on the bench here. Another board down in position. I'm going to gauge it this time again with my little gauge here, and that'll actually reach right underneath there. The waning on this one's on a little bit more of an angle, so obviously I've got this spaced up, so that kind of reaches right underneath there. I'm able to get that one in one cut, just like that. Pretty interesting. I've got a pile of sawdust up here that just got generated by the skill saw, but you saw in front of it, if I went by there again, the skill saw would blow that off behind the bench just like that and just deposit one more supply right there. And I don't have to touch it or play with it or have it all over me or all over the floor or anything else because the bench is designed that way.